What is going on, draft sickos? It's your boys from No Ceilings. My name's Corey Tulaba. I'm here with Nathan from No Ceilings, aka Draft Deeper. Nathan, how we feeling after this amazing doubleheader that we had tonight for the Champions Classic? Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, Kentucky. How we feeling?
Night started off a little slow in terms of the Kentucky-Michigan State game, but Duke-Kansas, Corey, that lived up to all of the hype. We didn't have
not all of the hype.
Okay, all right. Maybe not all of it. We didn't have Darren Peterson tonight, unfortunately, out with a hamstring injury. They want to take that very slowly, make sure they're cautious with him. But we did have some star power in terms of the Duke side. We had Cameron Boozer. Isaiah Evans had a great night. Cam Boozer's brother, Caleb, also had a really good night. So there was definitely a lot.
Got to pack it up. Got to head downstairs to the 8th floor.
All right.
Sixth floor.
All right.
All right, guys, we are getting booted from we are live getting booted here, but we had a great time at this game. No Darren Peterson, but we did have a pretty big Flory Badunga game. We did have a big Melvin Council second half. We had a strong Cam Boozer game despite the scoring. Nathan, what did you see from Cam Boozer?
A lot of the struggles that we've unfortunately been seeing with Cam over the first few games. In terms of the at-rim finishing, certainly hasn't looked great. His feet definitely appear to be stuck in mud at times, for sure. And I just don't think he's getting that same vertical pop off the ground that we saw at the high school level. I'm not trying to say he was Blake Griffin or anything, getting off 2 feet, going up to the rim, but there definitely seems to be something a little bit off in terms of his overall pop and explosiveness and finishing at the basket. A lot of those attempts definitely looking like he's going up, not just shooting the ball straight up, not utilizing the backboard on some of those finishes. And I think it's leading to a lot of miscues, a lot of poor touch, and we're not seeing the results kind of translate out for him. But the rest of Cam Boozer's process would definitely say that that's been a major positive for Duke. We saw it a lot in the passing. Corey, the outlet passes were incredible tonight. The ball was moving around. Cam was a beast on the glass, was making plays defensively. I think everything else we saw from Boozer in terms of his process was what we would have wanted to see. We're just really disappointed in the rim finishing.
We are. The rim finishing clearly is something that we're going to need to get figured out from Cam. But ultimately, I'm not worried in the slightest because he is still super powerful, and guys are just loading up on him near the rim. And I think ultimately, again, that's something that is going to get figured out with Cam. I think the rim finishing, he's always had good touch at the rim. So for him to be struggling early, it's just going to be him dealing with adversity and figuring out, again, how we can kind of evolve and develop. That's why we play a long season. And so that's something that he's going to have to kind of figure out. But I think he figures it out. I think it'll help if and when Duke also starts starting his brother. Because I thought that Caden was really solid today, regardless of the fact that he's not exactly the most dominant scorer, and it's not who he is, but he just always has an impact on the game.
For sure.
And I think that eventually what's going to happen is that the Caleb Foster experiment is going to end.
Yep.
And
we're going to see Caden take over the starting point guard job. Yep.
And I think that comfort level that Cam and Caden have together is going to be something that helps get Cam going. Clearly feels comfortable playing, and they have a great synergy together. So I think that's going to be something that kind of works out for them in a big way. I don't think anyone's going to kick us out from right here.
I don't think so either.
We're going to set up shop right here, guys.
Those ceilings on the move, baby. I think the biggest story, though, for Duke offensively for me was Isaiah Evans.
Okay.
Isaiah Evans is arguably, in my opinion, the best three-point shooter that we have in this upcoming 2026 NBA draft class. I think he would have laid claim to be one of the top 3 shooters in last draft class had he come out. I think when Duke looks to utilize him off different actions to get him and create him open shots, we saw a lot of that obviously coming from the Cam Boozer passing. That, to me, is when Duke's offense is at its best, is when they can utilize him as a movement shooter. We saw that tonight against Kansas. When he gets it going, I mean, every single person on that team gets excited. Everyone's jumping off the bench. That, to me, was one of the biggest stories of this game. And I still, even apart from the three-point shooting, I do like how he's been a little bit more aggressive in other areas of the game offensively. We talked about how he's being utilized more as a cutter, that being more part of his role this year as opposed to just being on the floor to launch threes. Definitely think that Isaiah Evans was one of the best offensive stories that we have from this game.
And they really need him because there's a lot of theoretical spacing on this Duke team, but it hasn't really actualized.
Yep, 100%.
Darren Harris is still kind of getting accustomed to playing more minutes and finding his spots in this role. The shots haven't been dropping with him. Dame Sarr is not exactly a lights-out shooter. Cam is a good shooter too. You know, historically he's been a really good shooter, but it takes a long time for him to get it off.
Yeah.
Isaiah Evans is really the only guy who truly has that gravity where guys are like, hey, if you're standing 5 feet behind the three-point line, we're going to guard
100%.
you out there. Now, on the Kansas side, we mentioned Darren, which was a little bit of a bummer because it could have had potential to be an all-time game. There were so many scouts in the building, obviously booking this stuff in advance, really excited. But there were still guys who really balled out on the Kansas side to make this thing competitive. I mean, Trey White had it going all game.
I was going to say early and often, but really, yeah, he continued it in the second half.
He did. Sure. I think Melvin Council kind of took that over within that second half. Obviously, he got it going. He struggled in the first half, really got it going in the second half. Flory Badinga was really good overall. As we're getting booted again here.
Down to 6.
Down to 6 is where we got to go. So we're going to keep talking. We're going to keep talking until we get there for you. Melvin Council really got to go in the second half. His defensive energy led to offense. And I think that's what got Kansas back in the game. Yep. Bryson Tiller, I thought, did a really good job all night, kind of stonewalling Cam. And obviously they loaded up, but they helped. I think Flory Badinga's rim protection really made Cam think around the basket. And, just defensively, they really did a good job and it got them, kind of back in the game there. Although, to me, it never really felt like Duke was in trouble.
No.
I think ultimately Duke kind of just was in a position where they were coasting, and even throughout their struggles, Kansas didn't have the firepower offensively to kind of impact the game in a major way, despite the runs that they went on. But Trey White, really good offensively. Flory, he was getting looks off. If Flory Badinga's in double digits, he's feeling it. So even as unorthodox as it could be, he still kind of got it going. Nate, what did you see in the first game? Was there anything in the Michigan State game versus Kentucky that was interesting to you? It was an ugly game for sure, but I think we were both excited about one player in particular. Who was that, Nate?
In terms of what...
This is 6.
Thank you.
This way you want to go to the left. You want to go to C Tower. Tower over, you'll see a media room.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
We're going to the media room at C Tower. This has been some ride. I appreciate everybody watching live with us right now, rocking with us. You guys are killing it. Which way did he say to go? Left?
Yeah.
Who are we excited about in that game from the Kentucky side?
From what you and I were excited about, we really like Colin Chandler, 6'5" sophomore guard for Kentucky. Got it started going early on offense, hit a couple shots, made a really nice corner kick-out pass on the move, had some really nice defensive plays, including a block that got everybody up from out of their seats. definitely has some vibes of some types of prospects that I really like. Guys like Christian Brown, Paul Larson, not necessarily comparing him one-to-one to those guys, but those are some of the vibes that I was getting.
I threw out Chase Budinger.
Chase, yeah, this smaller Chase Budinger. That's a great compliment, as we said. Like, that can hit. That's an NBA player, right?
Totally.
So that's a name to keep an eye on.
Bouncy, good shooter.
Yep.
Made smart. He had a sick, like,
that corner
0.5
kick out pass, yeah.
That was sick. Malachi Marino he had moments, but he was kind of inconsistent, looked young. I mean, just ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a team that you've seen the post-game comments by now, probably. Not good vibes.
It's not great. It's not great.
Not great vibes in that locker room. Michigan State, on the other hand, much different experience with Michigan State. And Michigan State's got some intriguing guys. You know, Cohen Carr is a name that's been around for a little while. Obviously, super athlete, had a big-time flush. And, you know, he did what he did. I really like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is super, super interesting. I loved his kind of passion, his fire. He was bringing a ton of energy all night long, I think, for Michigan State. Like, even in the huddles, like, he was just, like, going crazy, which was super cool to see. I mean, Fears had, how many assists did he end up with?
He had 13 assists. I mean, Jeremy Fears really was the driver for that Michigan State offense all night long. He was getting the spots wherever he wanted to. It was a little bit different in terms of his approach as a point guard compared to what we saw in the Duke-Kansas game. You and I were talking about it, Corey. Like, Duke doesn't necessarily have that type of point guard that can easily break somebody down and can kind of just get the spots really easy. A lot of those guys, Caleb Foster, Caden Boozer, they need a screen to really operate at their best, but you didn't necessarily see that from Fears. He kind of orchestrated the game however he wanted. He got guys open shots. And one of the things that I talked about on the Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings podcast feed when we previewed the Champions Classic was that team had a lot of guys who needed someone to get them the ball. They have a lot of play finishers, a lot of big guys. I know Jackson Kohler did a lot of great work down low in the post, even hit a couple threes in the first half of the game that I seemingly thought were a little forgettable. Didn't even remember that he had 2 threes in the first half. But in order for those plays to happen, they needed a point guard like Jeremy Fears to step up. Cohen Carr had a few nice passes, but Jeremy Fears really was the driver for Michigan State, and they showed up. They made that Kentucky team look like an 8th grade team out there, Corey. Like,
it was sloppy.
It was sloppy, to say the least. But that Michigan State team, they won with smarts, toughness, physicality, that intense coaching from Tom Izzo. It was as Michigan State of a game as we could have possibly expected. So kudos to them in that big win. But Kentucky, Corey, they got a lot of stuff to figure out. Like that defense, that was one of the worst defensive efforts I've seen from a high major team in person scouting in quite some time. That was not great.
They were disconnected. Obviously, you know, they're missing Jaden Quaintance, who is a potential top 10 pick. He will certainly help. He helped Arizona State's defense when he was on the court last year. He will erase a lot of things, but, you know, he's not going to really help stuff at the point of attack all that much. The communication issues that they had, that's all stuff that they're going to have to get worked out. And sometimes on a big stage like that, this is the kind of thing that you can go back into the film room, point to, and be like, this was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we got to change it. And it could be the wake-up call that they need, because they have a lot of talent on this squad, and they can certainly turn it around. You know, I had high hopes for Cam Williams this year, and he's been inconsistent, you know, kind of quiet and not really, you know, making an impact. He's letting the game come to him instead of going out and getting it. You know, Jasper Johnson's a guy who, you know, has some fans and is a guy who had some hype coming in. You know, he's still finding his role kind of off the bench. So there's some interesting pieces. I
thought Otega Owe had a little bit of a quiet night. Like we didn't necessarily feel his presence like I feel like we could have in some of the games that Kentucky's won, especially last year when he played really well. You felt it. And I didn't necessarily, not that he had like a bad game, but we didn't really feel it from him in the same way that we'd expect him.
You know, I didn't love all the shots that he was taking. There was a couple of like pull up, like step back, like 17 footers. Yeah. You know, if that's who he's going to be, that's not necessarily an NBA guy.
No.
You know, he's got to be kind of like a Javonte Green, kind of just like defense, crashing the glass, like flying out in transition, creating defensive events. Like that's the kind of player he has to be. He's not going to be like an engine. And unfortunately, as an upperclassman for this Kentucky team, at some points, he kind of has to be, which is not going to be his role. But, you know, maybe he does some stuff with these reps and he learns and he's able to, you know, have some moments. But Really great night. Doubleheader. Can't complain. New York City. Thank you for staying with us for this reaction show as we've filmed now in like
3 different spots.
3 different spots as we're walking, discombobulated with our thoughts. You guys are the best. We appreciate you. We're gonna be back with these reactions all year long. Content at no ceilings all year long. We love you all. We're out. Appreciate you rocking with us.
We'll figure out where to shoot the next one next time, we promise.
Peace, guys.